right, y'all, we're going to get this fired up and get the word out. Welcome to the Bonnet Chronicles. I'm your host, Kalari GXC, and it is a fun Friday night. Well, free flow Friday night as we call it here. And I'm not going to lie to you guys. I have had a bit of a rough day. It was intestinal tract got wrecked kind of feeling day, but I wanted to push through because I was looking forward to talking about the topics tonight so all day. And then my stomach started going completely cuckoo bananas, but I'm feeling okay. I've got water. Action Wolf went to go pick up dinner for us and stuff too, so that I don't have to cook after I'm done with this. So I will get through this. And welcome to the chat, Beans. I just feel like, there are times where I preach to people, if you don't feel good or if you're not into this, don't live stream. And if I really was out, I wouldn't have sat here tonight. When I tell you, I was already fired up from some of the news stuff that I'm going to cover tonight as it is. But to not cover the AI stuff when I was fired up to talk about it on Tuesday and I controlled myself, nuh-uh. Nope, I'm stubborn. My body is just going to have to work with me for this hour, y'all. But I wanted to open up with, this is why I don't watch The View. This ain't to knock those women. They have made their fortunes being cackle hens in the morning. A lot of people in my family still sit up with their coffee and watch these people. But one of the reasons I could not sit through The View in the morning was because of Big Bird here. And apparently now she wants to file a lawsuit against her former co-workers for libel because they had a little panel, and I guess Big Bird, who finally is starting to wear her hair in a less ridiculous manner, because that was some of the things that they used to show the clips on Twitter, and she pissed off the stylist there at the studio because she always had the most weirdest, outrageous hairstyles that made her look ridiculous. But apparently, nepotism Nancy here doesn't like the fact that her panel of former co-workers made the assessment that a lot of people with ties to both politics and entertainment sometimes name drop, sometimes do things that, could be questionable. They never said that directly you did anything, but, hit dogs holler, Megan. I call her Big Bird, though. Y'all know me, when I was on Twitter, I called her Big Bird because she reminded me of Big Bird. No offense to the actual Big Bird. I actually like him from Sesame Street. But she reminded me of Big Bird with one of those big braided hair things she did once, and it just stuck. You know me, I love giving people names. I call Cornel West, live action Grady. Everybody gets a name. It's just how I roll. But apparently, Little Miss Lawsuit is considering it because she goes, I don't understand why my former colleagues at ABC, The View, bringing me up and slander me on an almost weekly basis. McKay, 39, what is it with these 39-year-old heifers? Between her and Foodie, I just, grow up. You are a public figure. And they weren't even really talking much about you, but you wish. She's Thursday, December 14th. It has been years. Move on. I have. Apparently you have it because they talking about you allegedly. What is it? You either moved on and you don't watch The View, or you sit there stalking and waiting for them to mention you at all. Some of you play yourself talking about, I'm above it. I'm above. I don't think about when people talk about me. You lie. We know you do. But apparently Anna Navarro spoke out about the news and came to Hunter Biden's defense because apparently for the GOP, Hunter Biden is just a big old demon boogeyman. And they're going to be the specter that they used to impeach our president, which they're not, but whatever, go off. The boy has been in all kinds of different tax and other problems, but he's a grown man. And the IRS and the DOJ are handling him. He's not getting away with stuff. He is doing what he has to do to stand before the justice system for whatever he got into. Honestly speaking, Because he's the president's son, yes, there are going to be people who weigh in and think this, that, or the other is going to happen. It is a legal, civil matter, and ain't none of my business. I ain't like the GOP. I'm not going to treat Hunter Biden like he's this big Illuminati specter boogeyman. He's not. He is just a guy who continues, like every human, to either be flawed or fucked up. He just has the unfortunate realization that he is in the national spotlight because his daddy's the president. It fucking sucks, because I would hate to be the family fuck up when my family is in the fucking White House. But that is just how it is. And instead of constantly harping and going back and forth, this is why I don't fuck with these morning shows. Because now The View has to deal with a lawsuit. And I'm going to call it a lawsuit. I'm telling you, it don't make sense. But apparently old Anna here got under Big Bird's skin by mentioning the fact that, yeah, there are some people that constantly use their platforms to both leverage for political views and ties that they have. And when Big Bird was on there, she sure did push that agenda very hard. She can't act like she didn't. And she was always bringing up my dad, and it's okay to be called out on that. But you know, with Megan, it's only her view. She didn't want The View. She only wanted her views. And that's why she didn't last long on The View. And I'm not even defending The View because, like I said, it's headache inducing. The one time when I had to take kiddo down for a test, and they had it at one of those hotels, because you had those conference rooms. So the parents got to sit in the waiting room if we wanted to wait and we didn't want to just head out and then come back and pick up the kid, and they had The View going. And I just, when they were arguing and trying to talk over each other, you just didn't get a sense of a lot of the shit they were saying they believed in. And it was easy to just press each other, and I didn't like it. It's not my cup of tea. And if you like The View, go ahead. I'm not trying to tell people what to watch or what to like. It's just never been for me. I just thought it was hilarious that old Meghan McCain is mad at her former co-workers for daring to talk about her. You're lucky anybody wants to talk about you, daddy's girl. Like, I don't even understand her damage. But, you know, it's Meghan McCain, Big Bird as I like to call her. And that is just the way it is. And I was going to talk about the fact that old Lurch from Pennsylvania decided that he is not progressive, and he has made it clear that he is not progressive. But I think I'll save that for Tell It Tuesday, because as much as I like a good old poke at John Fetterman, because I like him. I like the fact that he's honest about his mental health journey now. I like that he's not afraid to jab at himself. But I do really like that some of you progressives latched on to him thinking he was going to be your big old younger Bernie. And now he's come and said, no, I'm a Democrat. So I'm going to definitely bring that up more on Tuesday. But no, this topic alone might take up a good chunk of what I want to do tonight. And I definitely want to get to the AI thing. So I'm not going to hold off, because I was fired up on Spoutable. If you see me going off on Spoutable about this, I'm fired up right now, because you know I don't like Elon Musk. If you like Elon Musk, you're in the wrong center of the internet, because I don't. I hate when my hangouts get destroyed. He took one of my favorite hangouts. I was on Twitter for fucking 10 years, man. 10 years of building my community. 10 years of sharing. I got up to antics. I'm not act like I was an angel on Twitter. But I had my fun. And it was a fun place for the longest time, until Jack decided to sell out and get his $44 billion bag to the dummy who everybody gives praise. Everybody treats him like he's this big old genius, and all he is a wealth-hoarded trust fund baby who's been lucky, who can rift his way into a lot of circles. And I'm saying it. If it looks like a grifter, talks like a grifter, smells like a grifter, it's a fucking grifter. And there are way too many people that are up Elon Musk's ass because he's successful. And if he likes us, then maybe we could be. No, you can't. He's not going to let you into his circles. Even if you become one of his rabid fanboys, he'll just use you to attack people, but he don't care about you. You're never going to be on his level. So stop it. One of the things that I hate about Elon Musk the most is that he has really managed to fake his way through this system, and everybody's treating him like, you can't, he's a genius. You gotta treat him like the genius he is. And it's like, I don't. Because when you really put a microscope, or not even a magnifying glass on the motherfucker, you find out that the degrees he's got are honorary. He doesn't have half the credentials that people give him and pump him up for. And the man literally took Twitter and ran it into the fucking ground. How do you drop 44,000, not 44,000, see, that's my level. 44,000 is a lot of money for me. $44 billion is a level that I will never ever ascribe to, or I can't wealth for it like that. But he wasted $44 billion and now he's begging people to give him $1 a month for a premium subscription. That, no, my Twitter will collect digital dust. No, thank you, sir. I will not continue to put good content on a site that I don't support. I will put my shit on Spoutable. They've already upgraded where we can put short form videos again. So I might start doing Bonnet Shorts on there when I can, whenever I'm fired up about stuff. And I almost did one today about this shit, but I was like, nope, I'm going to save it for now, because this shit pissed me off. When you go into what are you fired up about? Why are you so mad at Elon Musk? Well, good. I'm glad you asked. Elon Musks Mom furious at Biden after FCC denies Starlink subsidy. Now, for those of you who might be confused at what a subsidy is, I might have to help y'all out with this. Let me get this up. Because, yeah, a lot of people who are watching this, I sure you've heard of, like, farm subsidies. But some of you might not know that a subsidy, it's the government helping out a business or something that can help the people normally. You got farm subsidies, you got housing subsidies, you've got the kind of subsidies that are supposed to be used to help a community continue to flourish, prosper, and grow. A lot of both businesses and individuals can normally apply for subsidies if what they're applying for can be utilized to help the community in a beneficial way. Most people cannot qualify for government subsidies. I know they've used to run commercials, especially during the afternoon when I was younger, especially about how you could file for different grants and subsidies and get money from the government, and it is not easy. And why? Because wealth hoarders like this asshole tend to be the ones that get all of those things. What pisses me off about this is that he had already gotten a subsidy once, and it was on the premise of helping rural areas with their internet, giving them internet access, getting them hooked up to the internet the way big cities with bigger budgets would, and he failed. And it took a government audit for them to realize that he failed. And this is my fucking wheelhouse. I was a bookkeeper, auditing and budgeting, and all that shit is my fucking love language. I ain't gonna stop saying that shit. So you knew when I was digging into this article and beyond that I was already heated from this shit. And then have his old gargoyle mama jump in and try to attack our president because they audited and found out that your Starlink bullshit data mining, you didn't need the subsidy. But when you find out how much this subsidy was for, he had already got an $886 million award years ago, back when Doofus 45 was in charge for Starlink, because he made a bunch of promises that his Starlink system would bring internet to rural areas and get everybody connected and be kumbaya tech utopia. The Internet Award was received in 2020 after agreeing to provide high-speed internet service to more than 640,000 rural homes and businesses across 35 states. The FCC rescinded the award in 2022, which Starlink challenged. But they challenged it because they barely got a fraction of those homes and a fraction of those states handled. And Starlink is powerful. It was powerful enough to deal with the Ukraine stuff, but you couldn't get all those homes hooked up. And for $866 million, which we know this man wastes billions of dollars, so that's fucking alleged pocket change to Musk. smaller ISPs that a lot of us rural areas, because I live in a more rural area of Michigan, could have used that money better and actually provide better functioning services for the areas that people are living in right now. Now, I got a great ISP out here where I live. I'm lucky. It's a nice small business that they look out for you. We barely have any outages. It's way better than when I lived downstate with the bigger company that constantly sending me texts. Oh, you're going to have an intimate internet outage. And it's like, why? You're taking almost $100 a month from me. I don't need you to knock my internet out. I do a lot of stuff on the internet. You need to keep it up. So when I say that the little companies work very hard to keep us connected, they should have been the ones first and foremost to get any kind of big ass budget subsidies. But no, you give it to these fucking wealth hoarders like Elon Musk, who had to have his mommy whine on Twitter about the FCC and the president not patting their son's head. Maybe if your son wasn't making space trucks and shipping them out into space and wasted $44 billion on a social media site that he doesn't know how to run because he didn't want people blocking or making fun of him. Fucking A, these fragile ego fucks with too much money and not enough brains. But he rallied against the decision on X. It doesn't make sense. Starlink is the only company actually solved... Nah, that shit is bullshit. The only company solving rural broadband at scale? Are you kidding me? I pay a lot less with the small company that I'm getting my internet through than I paid through any of the bigger names. So that's a lie right there. And I know that your company is nowhere near affiliated with the company that I'm with. So there's bullshit right there. I get annoyed how people take advantage of the rural communities. And a lot of these rich people, they get all these subsidies promising they're going to help poorer communities. And then they pocket the profits. And the poorer communities still don't have what they're supposed to. Whether it's clean water, whether it's high-speed internet. And at the risk of sounding socialist, because I know I get that label all the time and I'm not. And I don't hate the idea of socialism. I just think humans are too fucking stupid to make it work effectively. Democratic socialism is the only close thing that I've seen, and even that has its issues. But what I'm saying is because the internet is such an integral part of our society, we use it for our everyday lives, whether it's work, school, or leisure. We are going to have to come up with a system that works for everybody. We even have people who are unhoused that have access to the internet via their phones and data. So we know that the internet is a very integral part of our lives now. And we need a system that works everywhere in our country and beyond. And I don't think it's going to be Elon Musk that makes it happen. He's too busy burning money on stupid vanity shits like trucks and exploding space shuttles. And now our FCC, which does audit, I know some people like to think the government doesn't do their jobs. Half of you have never even held a government job, so you don't know. You just assume. You regurgitate shit that you hear from other numbnuts who have absolutely no ties. But I'm telling you, these people work hard. And with the constant threat of a shutdown looming, they have to do their job in double time because they don't know if they're going to get paid. But I'm telling you, those who do the audits, they know. And they know when they follow that paper trail that, yeah, we paid out this amount of money that he's supposed to pay back in taxes because a subsidy isn't a gift. You're supposed to not only show your work, but also supposed to give a return eventually. And we all know that man don't like to pay that. That's why so many Twitter buildings are being shut down for lack of rent payment. But what kills me is they're treating this like it's a personal attack from President Biden and not the fact that the FCC legitimately did an audit, realized that we gave this motherfucker almost we did in 2022, gave him $866 million. I keep inflating it because these are big numbers, sorry. $866 million fucking dollars, and we don't have what was told. There was supposed to be over 640 million people, 640,000 people connected. Due to Starlink, rural homes in 35 states were supposed to be upgraded so where we're all digitally connected, and that shit didn't happen. So when old apartheid edgelord decided that we're going to apply for the $855.5 million subsidy, the FCC said no. $855 million. You got that kind of money to waste giving it to one person who's making promises that he still hasn't fulfilled, when you could give that to a ton of smaller ISPs and actually get us connected better. There are plenty of small businesses that run servers to their fucking maximum just trying to keep us online and connected. It don't make no sense to me that Elon Musk was able to get that much money. I can believe it in the 2020, and I believe it was actually earlier than 2020. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. You know who gave him that money. You know the wheeling, dealing, and finagling. There are a lot of people that made out like fucking bandits under 45. Because wealth hoarders are going to help other fucking wealth hoarders out, and it's only us idiots that really foot the bill. So if you're one of those hard working class bros who think, this doesn't seem fair, but you should blame Elon Musk. He's at the pinnacle of our society. Stop it. Because I made this analogy to my partner earlier. It's funny the shit that we put on a pedestal in our society. You would treat somebody who's poor that hoards garbage like they're the worst. I know I personally do because I don't like trash. Looking at you again, Chantal. But you would look down upon somebody like that. You don't even think about their mental health or anything else. You would be like, no, that person's dirty. They're nasty. How dare they hoard something that has significant meaning to them, even though that stuff is trash. But because somebody hoards wealth, which is really a mental illness in this point, we all say nope, because they have something we all desire, which is to be wealthy, allegedly. We just put them on a pedestal. And it doesn't matter who gets hurt in their wealth hoarding, which for this Starlink shit, a lot of rural homes did not get the hookup that they could have had if that money had instead went to smaller ISPs that were there on the ground servicing these areas instead. And it's bad enough our ISP game is still monopolized by bigger name companies that treat customers like shit and take a lot of money each month for it. It is very frustrating. Welcome to the chat, Respect. I just feel like the problem with our society is we condone a lot of fuck shit. When it comes to subsidies, I don't mind farmer subsidies, especially if the farms are really being used to help all of our nation, help all of our state especially get fed and keep people, with what they need, whether it's grains, whether it's cattle, whether it's veggies. There are needs for certain subsidies, energy subsidies, even though that is touchy because our energy companies have been on some fuck shit for years now when it comes to gouging us to keep our houses warm, to keep our lights on. So it is touch and go what should be subsidized and what shouldn't be. But I'm telling you, these same fuckers who will look at a mom who needs a little extra money each month to keep her house fed or keep the lights on, y'all, that's socialism. We can't subsidize your lifestyle. You should live better. You should do this. Well, look the other fucking way at an $855.5 million subsidy for an already trust fund kid who's not used to being told no. And now he can run to a platform he wasted $44 billion on and whine about being persecuted. And his fanboys will eat that shit up and believe it. But the truth is, in an audit, you find out that this man has been wasting hemorrhaging money on vanity projects for way too long. And the only people who hurt when we let him get away with that is the poor people he was supposed to be helping. He was supposed to come here to Michigan and help the water crisis in Flint. That was just fucking lip service. Nothing ever came of that shit. He made a bunch of promises that he could design a system that would help the water supply, and that shit didn't happen. That's when I blocked him. Because I don't like liars. And that was years ago on Twitter. Because I'm going to call it fucking Twitter. Calling it X. That's fucking stupid. But he made a lot of fucking promises for a lot of big media things. When those kids were trapped in that dive-in incident, I believe it was in South Korea, He made a whole bunch of promises that he could build a submersible that would help them out. He's always inserting himself in shit. And I had already side-eyed him twice because of that shit. But this, I'm done. Y'all want to be on Twitter kissing that man's ass, hoping that one day he'll pat you on the head, you go off. But there is no fucking way I'm going to do that. $855.5 million to do what? So that you could fucking, once again, block the Starlink when there's a literal war going on, thus helping a literal terrorist terrorize a nation he invaded? You ain't slick, Elon. And what bothers me about this is you have cultivated such a rabid series of fanboys, and I'm not trying to get through that defense. If you're a fan of him, you're going to be a fan of him. The rest of us with good sense, we need to stop putting these wealth hoarders on a pinnacle. He ain't doing fuck all for the rural states he was supposed to. And there are plenty of small business ISPs who really could use that money. And I hope that the FCC allocates the subsidies where they belong, back where it can help the people. But when I say having his mom get on fucking Twitter, this old bitch getting on Twitter talking shit about the president and the FCC and acting like her boy was persecuted. No, ma'am. The audit said the money didn't go where it was supposed to go. The people who were supposed to be helped didn't get help. You can't just cry victim when you done fucked a bunch of families who could have used that internet access over. So I don't like rich people. I don't like the wealthy. And I'm going to tell you, what are you talking about? What do you know about the wealthy? Trust me. Without giving too much of my own family history, I am sitting with a whole folder of people with too much money, not enough brains, suing each other into oblivion. I left that life. I don't want to be a part of that life. If I make any kind of funds, it's going to be enough to keep my house running. I don't need to be wealthy. Wealthy people aren't better people. All they do is fight to protect that fucking wealth. They don't care about each other. They don't care about anything but looking the part half the time. And they will sue each other into the fucking ground to protect those ends. So nope. I don't want that life. And trust me, if you know that life and you get away from it, you breathe a sigh of relief that you're not wrapped up in its tendrils. And these people, like I said, I even flubbed some of the numbers because it's astronomical to me. The amount of fucking money that these people have gotten from our government in order to do things that was supposed to help people who will never see that amount of money in several lifetimes. The whole even idea of making an even $1 million seems foreign to most of us. We're just living our ordinary life, living day by day, just hoping that we are not an illness or a bill away from crippling financial ruin. But these fuckers can get pissy because the government won't subsidy them over almost a fucking $1 billion. Let's get it right. $885.5 million. You might as well have just rounded that up to a fucking $1 billion. And this man already pissed away $44 billion on Twitter. They have the means because they wealth hoard to just waste money left and right. And I'm telling you, we are literally in the throes of the digital dark age. But I am hoping, fingers crossed, that we can move from this dark age bullshit to actual enlightenment. Because right now, I don't like this shit. I don't like that we literally have an internet that we all rely, depend on, and utilize. But we still letting these rich fuckers dictate everything. They've already dictated our education. That's why our school system's so fucked up. That's why higher education is a fucking cash grab. We've let them dictate the job force so badly that we literally treat CEOs like their jobs and getting paid was more important than people who actually do the right. I almost said right, because I'm a writer, but the writer's strike is a prime example of why we got to stop letting the wealth hoarders dictate our society. For months, we had no new shows. That's why so many people came to streaming, and I'm grateful for it. A lot of people came to the internet for entertainment because of the writer's strike. Because you fuckers decided that one asshole at the top had to be paid more than the people who make the shows, who make sure the shows acted well, who deliver the lines, who write the lines. Y'all didn't want to respect the fucking foundation of the structure of entertainment. and y'all fucked around and found out, and you had to cave and give the writers and other integral parts of the entertainment system better contracts. But it's still not enough. Because we're still paying one Yahoo at the top who gets to tell people, I'm in charge, more than the people who are doing the actual work. And that is why my sociopathic after says no. I do not appreciate this shit. I do not like the fact that we continue to elevate people who just hoard money more at the pinnacles of society. And they have been able to dictate stuff. And that is why we have been held back from good potential. And now these fuckers are exploiting AI. One of the things I did on Saturday, because I had a full-blown cold, and I think that is what the rest of these tummy issues are, is my body passing the rest of the sickness out. So I'm going to try my best to get through this next part, because I really, truly wanted to bring this up. Oh my gosh. And yeah, I'm going to save the Rudy Giuliani thing for Tuesday too, because I got to laugh. You owe $148 million there, Rudy. How's that going for you, gargoyle? You dumb bum. Justice for Miss Ruby and Miss Shay. But I will definitely bring that up on Tell It Tuesday, because that shit, oh man, he pissed me off. Having those poor ladies being attacked by him and his MAGA loyal. But karma comes constantly to collect. Well, we're going to shift the topic back to the digital stuff, because Saturday I spent the day in bed trying to get my sore throat through, all the body pains and everything else through. So I was like, you know what? Even though I'm writing the new sci-fi novel in Bomb, I have some other ideas. There's at least 5 good stories that I want to get out of my system before anything happens to me. I'm not trying to be morbid. That's just the reality. The last few years really kick-started my creative process, because nothing's promised. We all know that several of our friends have passed, both people we both knew online and off. One of my friends, who I didn't even realize that I had named my main character Axiom after, he passed just a few months ago this year. And it just spurred me on to try to get more of my work out there before, God forbid, anything happens. I just want to get it done. So I started writing up a frenzy, but I realized that for Dark Reign, a novel that I really want to turn into a graphic novel, it's got to be art driven, because it's a very visual revenge novel. So I started writing some of the plot points into this OpenAI thing just to test it out, because a lot of them want money for you to have more of the premium features. So I was like, okay, bet, let me see if this even works. So I put in the first character of Dark Reign. She doesn't have a name yet because it is in the early stages, but the opening scene plays in my mind constantly. She's going down the desert highway. She has a wound. She's dragging the sword behind her, and an old-timey car comes up behind her to see if she's all right, because I wanted to set that narrative. And I thought I could get OpenAI to understand what I meant when I gave the description of her. And the only way, when I tell you the only way to even get her that tone, was to constantly keep putting the prompt in and getting AI to realize I was talking about a black woman. And I'm going to tell you right now, if you are a writer of color and think AI is going to help you with graphic novels or writing or animation, and you want actual people of our complexion in there, you're going to have to do a lot of work. You're going to have to exaggerate a bunch of stuff. And it's frustrating because, honestly speaking, the next still, I have the guy that was trailing her come up in a classic car. He is going to be an Asian American young man, because this story has both black, Hispanic, Asian. The ethnicities that normally are left out of literature, or normally like the background characters in the story, I wanted to stop complaining about that and start actually writing realistic stories with us, because I remember when I watched Kill Bill. I loved Kill Bill, but it felt like there was something missing. It was because, it was a male writing the female's revenge perspective. And I'm sorry. I don't care if you think I'm being, you're being misandrous for saying that. No, I'm being honest. How are you writing a revenge story about a woman who was literally done wrong, and in the end, she really just ended up beating up more females than males. There was so much about Kill Bill that I would have changed if I had gotten to write it. And it was like, instead of saying that, just write your own version, Ten. So Dark Reign started formulating in my brain years ago, and I made notes and I put it off to the side. But eventually, once I am done with this second novel and Embalm, I'm going to give my all to both this and the fifth story, which I'm really excited about, but I could not get the AI to get that one right at all. Olderune is just too much, and I know there's a young man who petitioned me on Twitter that once I can, young man, I did not forget about you. I might not be on Twitter, but I do remember you. I know sometimes you watch too. I will hit you up when I'm ready to take Olderune seriously, because that one is a real passion project for me. That one is going to take African, Afro-Caribbean, and indigenous mythologies and put them in a isekai world where I combine both video game, pop culture, and a lot of other references. I'm telling you, you've seen some of the artwork that I've done for it if you followed me on Twitter. But I tried to convert some of that artwork over with AI, and it wasn't. They don't seem to think we black people deserve to exist, and I'm not shocked. If you go by even old literature, movies, music, it took a while for us to even really break in, and now everybody wants to deem that, oh, Hollywood's being too woke. How dare they try to diversify and let other people exist in this space? And we already know that the tech bros like the code shit without us being involved. That's why automated cars were literally not recognizing us. That's why even their phones and shit with Google had to go back to the drawing board, because it wasn't initially made for people whose melanin pop. The fact is, they want a tech future without us, and they can't have that. Because a lot of the strides and breakthroughs come from people that look like us. A lot of the technology that y'all take for granted came from people that look like us, that were exploited by people that look like you because we couldn't get patents back in the day. But everything that you take for granted right now, whether it's the AC in your homes or the internet, you are more than likely had a black or brown person behind its inception. That's the history that you don't want to learn, because, oh no, you're going to wake me up. It'll make me feel bad for my ethnicity. And why? Why should you feel bad for your ethnicity if you ain't the one doing that, stupid? That's the bullshit that these bigots want you to believe so that you can continue to be a foot soldier fuckery instead of having your own mind and thought process. What the fuck is wrong with sharing this world with everybody? The problem with our technology leans and our entertainment leans is that it builds on aesthetically pleasing. It builds on people being, the European-centric focus. And what drives me nuts is that this story could really be a fun story, but they can't get anything right. Like, look at this one. Manic Maria is a character near and dear to my heart, because I know people will hear the name and automatically think I'm making fun of Manic. No, bitch, I'm Manic. And I wanted to realistically write a character that represents mania in a respectful way, because I live this and I can understand it. I understand manic ups, I understand manic downs, and I thought about a character with my issues. Being able to run a spy network, a brothel, and be the hubbub of information. And when I tell you Maria is my favorite fucking character, and I know people who read the story might not fucking fully believe that after all the shit that she's gonna go through, but she really is. And that is what I'm telling you right now. When I put the information in for her, I thought I was gonna get an actual truly brown Latina woman, and while this doesn't look that bad, this is definitely not what I see when I close my eyes and envision Maria. But that's what I mean. We need diversity in this AI tech. Because when you explain stuff to it, it takes a lot more exaggerated stuff. And even then, it doesn't get stuff right. When I put in Rainburn and her father, who are both native, okay, I got her father pretty close. And I'll bring that up. But Rainbird, nope. I'm not even gonna try with that one because it was not a good fit. This is her dad, Doc, who is going to help the main character with her wounds because there's a whole spiritual lean that I wanted to take in with this that they didn't have in Kill Bill. She was just the Mary Sue of the movie without explaining the deep spiritual leans of somebody guided by revenge, that kind of anti-chi that some people generate, that willful determination to finish a job. And I just thought this would make such a great story, but it needs that graphic visualization for me. Because even writing it out in novel form and seeing the scenes, I'm like, oh, that would be so better as a splash page. So I've been super excited to try to work with something. I'm already have a great artist with Kiri Bell for Onbound. And while I trust that she could probably venture to this is a darker, grittier, very violent novel. Violent in the ways of there's almost death on every other panel because this is a revenge novel. So I wanted to see if I could work with AI to flesh this out, and not in its current state. And it just feeds my understanding that for real, like, literature has always felt exclusionary towards us. This digital age is trying to exclude us, and we have got to push forward into it. And I am far from the only writer who said that they tried to use AI to help them out with either graphically plotting stuff out or even writing stuff out, and it is not good to writers of color or even non-writers of color trying to get characters of color fleshed out. It's just not it. And I don't know who's coding this shit because I know there are people.
All I wanna do is see you turn into a giant woman, a giant woman. All I wanna be is someone who gets to see a giant woman.
Hey, honey, thank you for the follow. 32 months. I appreciate you. Mango drink is fine. Thank you again. But getting back to what I was talking about, I feel like with this AI thing, the exclusionary thing don't make sense because I know there are black women that work for these companies too. They might not have a voice or a say in it, but you would think they would be on the front lines making sure that this technology is coded in a way where we feel represented, and we're still not there. I know plenty of brown people, point blank, Southeast Asian people work for these companies, and you still have a problem. With Olaroon, it is, because to move from Dark Reign for a moment, with Olaroon, that is completely going to be a passion project, and I'm definitely going to work with an actual artist for that, an artist that can draw black and brown characters because it's going to be needed. But when I say trying to enter in both Indian and Southeast Asian Indian and brown and black people into this thing and show them, like Summer and Chedai, those are the two main characters from the Olaroon series, it just couldn't. And it was frustratingly heartbreaking because, like I said, let me see if I could bring up just a picture of them that I did on the computer with some digital art stuff, because digital paints, when I have the time, I will doodle for hours in that stuff. And it's fun for me, but I don't really have the time to do it. I don't have the capacity to draw like I used to. So it's harder for me. I bought a digital tablet a while ago, and it's collecting dust because I just don't have the time to do it anymore. But when I say being able to create with actual AI would have been a blessing for me if it worked. But it's just not going to happen. And I feel like technology is missing out. You want forms of entertainment that is strike proof? You need to allow us nerds to fully work with you, and you need to realize that those of us who are melanated are here, man. And we have amazing ideas, but I guess you just don't want us involved. Oh, I love Orula. I'll probably show her after, but let me see if I put it under Summer and Chedai. And I know I'm having an old lady moment because I've done so much graphic art on here. And it's important to me. Now, I know some of you who followed me on Twitter remember when I started posting these because I got inspired. Because a few years back on Twitter, we were having kind of a round robin conversation because it was the rumblings of I believe The Little Mermaid. When people found out that The Little Mermaid was going to be black, and everybody on Twitter was losing their minds, even though they didn't even know at the time how good or bad it was going to be. And let me tell you, it was good. I'm still a fan of it. So we all started talking, a bunch of us, about how we're just tired of not being represented in our own stories, not being able to either be the princess or any of that stuff because we're barely represented. Out of all the Disney princesses, we have Tiana and maybe Jasmine if we wanted to count on her. Though if we think about it, Jasmine probably would act like she didn't know us either. Let's be real. Not all of our sisters girls act like sister girls when we need them to. If we can be real, a lot of times we black princesses have to be on our own. It's just the way it is. So we had the conversation about what would it be like if we had our own world stories and all that stuff. And I started formulating the story of Olaroon with Summer, just an average geeky girl, works in the office, went home one night, raiding with her clan, about to beat this world turtle demon destruction thing, and they win by one of her clutch spells. And then she gets transported to the world, and she has to solve a whole bunch of problems because everything's out of whack there. And it is just that adventure. And I'm excited about the story. Because like I told you, I am full of fucking story ideas, y'all. And a bunch of crazy energy to boot. But when I tell you, when I tried to put this into the AI, it did not come back like this at all. The AI just does not believe that people like this exist. And it was just heartbreaking to me. Because like I said, I have given the whole Olaroon series so much love. And I don't even have a heart of it finished. But I have enough stuff to where when I'm working with the artists that I want to work with, they won't have a lot of, what does she want from me with this to say to me? Because I take this shit seriously. It's the same with Ambam. I am working on full scripts because I can't draw it out myself. And I don't want Curie Bell going, well, I don't know what you want me to convey with this story. I want her to feel like, well, she gave me this. All I got to do is figure out how I'm going to do this. And she already is doing a phenomenal job with that. The panels that she has shown me already, I am excited about this. But when I say that Olaroon is so special to me because it's so many mythologies. Just this Arula one that I did. When I look at this, I have a cousin that's a little bit older than me that I just idolized and looked up to. And I thought about what would a god, if she was in goddess form, what would she look like? And she would always let us hang out in her room because she had her own room. And she was like the older, cool cousin. All of you who have big families know what I'm talking about. That cousin that you just want to hang out with. And just, she was always just above you. And I thought about when I created Arula, what Arula would look like. And I based her off my cousin Aretha. Not to dox my cousin. I didn't give you her last name, but I just want her to know that she inspired one of the goddesses in this story. And Arula is in charge of the sky and the heaven. She brings the stars, and she is a protector of the mother of all creation. She is like the powerful guardian. You try to get into the realm of the All-Mother, and she doesn't want you. Ain't happening, Captain. And I thought about that because it used to crack me up with Aretha's room. You were either let in her room or you weren't. She was not playing. She would lock you out really into quickness if she didn't want you in there. And I thought about taking those aspects of that personality and putting it into a living goddess. So, like I said, there's so many creative ideas that so many of us have and we're sitting upon. And I would love a future where I can work with technology and get it out faster. But I'm also worried about how AI is being exploited too. I got several offers because I'm waiting for my friend to get his recording of Axiom finished, because I would much rather pay a human to do the audiobook than to just give it over to a big company and run the risk of them trying to finagle my intellectual property away from me. I worked too damn hard on that story to just get finagled out. So I am very careful with my work. And I am very okay keeping it independent. Yeah, I could have probably made way more money selling out, but it ain't about money. It's about telling fun stories and doing it my way. And I'm a control freak when it comes to my creative energy. So no, I appreciate the offers. And I've had big companies that want to use my ideas, I guess, to program their AI. But thanks, no thanks, because I don't want to have my shit exploited so that you can strip my characters of their melanin and give it to somebody else. No, we're not going to do that, because I know that game too. And it's a shame that I have to feel that way, but we have seen this over and over, whether it's in music. How many times did people praise Elvis for being the greatest musician of all time when he was using black blues singers, music, cadence, and even dance moves? And I love Elvis, don't get me wrong. One of the first things I sang in elementary school was his version of I Can't Help Falling in Love with You. I don't hate on Elvis, but if we need to get it straight, so many black blues singers are the reason why he became famous. But we never give credit where credit's due. So I refuse to let this shit happen again on a literary AI creative landscape. You are not going to take my black creativity, strip me from it, and take credit for my ideas and work. No, sir or ma'am. That shit is no. It might take me longer to do it the independent route. I may not be rich from it because that was never the goal. But I will get these stories out before the last breath leaves my body, because I am a willful, determined bitch. And I have a lot of creative ideas that will help kids of all different backgrounds who never feel represented in literary form or physical form without having to be a superhero all the time. And sometimes you will get powers too, but in like a lot of us who like anime and manga especially, we love watching these series, but we never feel represented. One of Axiom Wolf's favorite series, and I like it too, that he got me into it, was My Hero Academia. It's a fun story. It's got a bunch of young people and stuff, and it's high school life, so I watch it as somebody who, like, if this was my kid, I'd be upset because these kids act like dumbasses. So that's my perspective watching it. But I also noticed the lack of characters with pigment. They have a few now. The one guy, I think, that can open locks, which I'm going to leave that alone. Japan already has a, like, weird touch and go with people that look like us, so I'll leave it at that. But when you're in the anime, you're kind of used to rarely seeing people that look like us, and when we do, if we're lucky, they're not caricatures. Bleach is another great example of that. I love Yoriichi. She was a martial artist, brown-skinned woman who could change into a cat and then change back into a person. It's one of the reasons why my chronically unmotivated merch has a black cat on it. It's just a little nod to Yoriichi without getting sued for utilizing Yoriichi. She is still one of my favorite anime characters of all time because she's her unapologetic self. Feminine, tough, fast, can fight with her hands. What is there not to like about her? But she is few and far between, and instead of complaining about a culture that's not even really connected to me, making my people look better, why don't I just write it myself, was what I started saying. And I'm not going to act like writing's easy. It took me years to even get the courage to release my first work. But now that I've let the cork out, I'm going to let all the creative stuff just free flow and see what people want to read or look at or ingest. Because it's about having fun. Anything I do, it is about me having fun. And I wish more people would get that. Now I'm going to get ready to wrap this up, but I wanted to do a quick, it's not really a react to me. It is more of a look at the problem I see with some AI, because this was just something I watched earlier. And we're not going to probably get through all of this, but I did want to show you what I mean about the AI issue. This thing was asking AI to create an AI queen for each country. And welcome to the chat, Solomon. Thank you for the alert. I feel like the problem is, and let me turn this down just a little bit, is that a lot of AI does not look at our features as if we're worthy. Look at this shit. No. Let's go back. Because I did like the Samoan a little bit, but this is what they said represents the United States of America. Now, don't get me wrong. I get that a certain demographic is a very powerful force in our country. But I don't think if we really looked at the genetic makeup of the United States, that our queen would be a blonde white woman. Indigenous women are looking like, are you kidding me? Black women who really helped build this nation's economy are side-eyeing. Like, half our fucking country was taken from Mexico, so that community is probably looking like, oh, okay, this is your queen? Plenty of immigrant women who helped fund and found our nation, too. But when you tell AI to generate a queen of the United States, this is what they come up with. Okay, then. Let's go to Samoa. Now, I ain't gonna lie, I thought Samoa was pretty, but I also feel like there are features in Samoan women that people shy away from that you shouldn't. I, as a black indigenous woman, love my broader features. I love my fuller lips, my thicker nose, my thicker brows, stuff that people are now getting surgery to have that I just had naturally, that used to get teased as a kid for years because, oh, your nose is too big, your lips too big, and now people are getting fucking injections and getting their face fixed for this shit. You can't make the shit make sense, so I don't even try anymore. You got Ireland. I don't see anything wrong with the Ireland one. Tonga. This is another one where it's another heavily Asianic, Southeast Asian featured that look more European there. And I'm sorry, I wish I didn't know what I was speaking of, but having family from the islands and stuff, it drives me nuts when I feel like features are being, changed. That's the best way I could put it. That didn't feel like a Tongan female to me. And the whole idea that a queen has to be more European-centric, it's frustrating. Myanmar looks pretty. Nigeria. Finally, a princess that actually kind of looks culturally like herself. But when I say it's few and far between, it's frustrating. And I feel like, especially for Southeast Asian women, there are some that have more Eurocentric features. So I'm not trying to exclude y'all, but I'm trying to say that some of your browner sister girls are often left out of these AI features, and that needs to change because, honestly, they're beautiful too. And I know some of you might not think so, but looks are subjective, and I think they're beautiful. Zambia. And Zambia kind of looked like the other. Okay, that's just my opinion. Laos. Venezuela. And see, Miss Venezuela, she kind of reminds me of what I envisioned when I thought of Manic Maria. Why? Because when I think of women of color, especially Hispanic or Latinx women, this is who I grew up in cultures like this, man, especially living in New York City. So when I tell AI, I want Maria to look a certain way, this is what should come up. Not some weird redhead holding a beer. Like, I was so pissed off at that, and I'm still not okay with that. Because I know AI knows what brown-skinned Latina women look like, but I shouldn't have to have exaggerated, almost fucking racist, bigoted language for the AI script to understand what I'm talking about. France looks pretty. Andorra. Some of these countries, they look fine. Like, how come the United Kingdom gets a dark, raven-haired, Snow White looking bitch? That probably would have made more sense. Well, I don't know. France tended to wear the powdered wig, so I'll let them get away with their blonde. But I would have probably accepted her more for America than the United Kingdom, because it don't make sense. but it is what it is. It's their AI thing. We got Algeria, Czech Republic. It's like I said, I don't want to piss on AI. This artwork is pretty, but a lot of these features seem the same to me. Especially when you go past the women of color. A lot of these AI all have very Eurocentric features instead of the diverse beauty that's out there. You're not going to see any of these real queens with scars or battle stuff, which a lot of queens, especially back in the day, had. Now, I know they want royalty to be presented as flawless and without a scrape or blemish to them. But if you look at the Queen Regent of England now, she is an older woman with a doddering old man as a king. So can we at least be a little bit more real and start showing more realistic portrayals of women through AI? Because we exist, man, and it's okay. Getting older is okay. Being an older queen is okay. But, you know, we are watching in this digital age the aesthetics of, you know, basic sexism at play too. And I know people get mad when I say that and want to pump the brakes, but it really is real. It makes it feel like not only is there an expiration date, but there's a beauty aesthetic being pushed through AI that I don't ascribe to at all. Now I'm going to do one more. Yeah, Ethiopia. Honestly, I do like that AI changes just a little bit on the African country, but not that much. You look and the hair is almost the same as the last two. Because they can't seem to get it through that even though Africa is a huge continent full of diverse, different dysphoria of Africans, we don't all carry the same hairstyle, man. Some Ethiopians go completely short-haired. Some wear them in braids. Some wear them in locks. Some wear no, you know. That's the problem with trying to say queens will only have one style. Do I like long hair now? I'm letting my hair grow out, so I don't know. I don't know if I'll ever get it to that length again. That was when I was younger I had it long. But you never know. What kills me is, even though I do like that it did notice that we have naturally curly hair in some things, it felt like every time they picked a African nation, they all kind of got that long curly look. And you know, I don't want to pick apart AI. I just feel like AI needs a lot more work, and it needs a lot more people that actually care about diversity in the trenches, making sure that it is coded to recognize us. Because the digital future is here whether we like it or not. And we all are going to have some part, whether we're ingesting the content or making the content. And if we want that content to reflect us and not be exploited or leave us out, we have to have a stronger voice. And I don't just say that because I'm in this creative thing. I say that because I'm going to be somebody who's going to be ingesting the content too. I'm a nerd, y'all. Y'all know I'm a nerd. I'm going to get ready to wrap this up, but I definitely wanted to show this off before we ended it. Axiom Wolf promised me and got me. Ooh, D20. I love it. Got a little velvet thing that you can roll the D20 in, and got a 12. I'm always somewhere middle of the road with my stuff. That's what I get for being chaotic neutral. But I'm telling you, when I say I am a nerd, both creativity and just I love nerdy things. And I want this future to be fun for all of us nerds. But what we've got to do is put our foot down and being left out of the conversation in tech and tech entertainment, because it is time to be represented more so than ever, because we have the ability to, if we can't go the traditional route via Hollywood or any of those exploited assholes, we have these channels. We have the ability to do things on our own. And if they won't let us be inclusive their way, we'll just do it our way. But I'm going to get ready to wrap this up. I want to thank you all so much for sitting in. We will definitely be back on Tuesday to laugh at Rudy Giuliani's foolish ass, and to also talk about John Fetterman telling the progressives that I am not on your side. He didn't say that in those words, but those people love to go to the deep end. But I'm going to wrap it up. That started quicker than I planned. Thank you so much, respect, and y'all too. Thank you all for tuning in. I will see you all on Tuesdays. You have a good weekend and take care.